Hi. First of all, thank you so much for your interest in Xculture. It's an exciting project. It will reward you in many ways. You will learn new things. You will meet new people. Definitely worthwhile participating. But if you would like to participate in Xculture, there are several things you need to know. First, the main idea, the reason for Xculture. The main point of the project is to provide a practical cross-cultural collaboration experience for people who are studying international business. Learning international business based on lectures, it's basically like learning how to swim on a soccer field, right? You need to get into the water. And so the idea behind Xculture is to give students an opportunity to experience firsthand the things that the professor tells them in the classroom. And so the way it works is we bring together students from literally dozens and dozens of countries, over 100 universities, all 6 continents, usually close to 4,000 participants. And we put them in global virtual teams, teams sizing from 4 to 7. We've even had sometimes bigger teams, usually with every one of them coming from a different university and usually a different country. Sometimes some teams may have 2 students from one country, but usually they have a number of cultures represented on the team. And by working together on a project, any project, for a couple of months, you have to deal with time zone differences, cultural differences, language proficiency differences, all kinds of challenges of online communication, limited communication richness channels. And so as you deal with those challenges, 2 things will happen. One, it is like a time machine in a sense, or time viewing device. When you will do cross-cultural collaboration as part of your job in the near future, you will face a lot of challenges. And the challenges that you are facing in Xculture are exactly the same challenges that you will face when you do it as part of your job. So participating in Xculture, at the very least, will give you a nice preview of what's in store for you. It will be challenging. It will not be easy. There will be times when you will probably regret you got involved with this project, you took the course where Xculture is part of the project. It will be challenging, no question about that. But the beauty of it is that whatever you experience now, it's exactly the same challenges that you will experience in a few years when you work for a big multinational corporation or maybe a small company and have to work with people from other countries. Believe me, I know. I manage many international global virtual teams. I'm a member of many global virtual teams as well. And even when they are comprised of people with doctorate degrees in international business, highly motivated, highly skilled, we see exactly the same challenges that you see in the student teams. So one, you will have a good preview of what kind of challenges people experience when they collaborate internationally. 2, you will actually learn something in the process. You will learn how to deal with those problems. You will learn something about international business consulting. You will learn something about specific businesses, products, and industries. So in the end, not only will you have that practical experience of working with people from other countries, cultures, continents, right? You will also know how to solve business problems a little bit better. You will know how different products and industries work, so it will be beneficial in that respect. Not to mention that in the end, you will also get an Xculture Global Collaboration Certificate, and we've heard so many stories of students who would have a job interview and it's not going anywhere, and then they mention that they participated in this project, and they actually have a documented proof of being able to work with people from all around the world. And then the interviewer would be much more interested in like, oh, tell me more. Because otherwise you are, when you graduate college, you're just like the 10,000 other applicants for the job. Good grades, some experience, but you will have something nobody else has. Now, in the early stages of Xculture, in 2010-11, when it was first started, we didn't really care that much about the specific task that students worked on. We thought it was all about collaboration, and whatever the students work on, it's good enough, right? So students were basically solving hypothetical cases. But then a few remarkable things happened. First, real companies started coming to us with real life problems. We've had some big companies like Mercedes-Benz, like Home Depot, like Louis Vuitton asking for advice. We've had some small companies. And so when those companies came to us with the practical real life questions, we thought, oh, that will make the project a little bit more real life, so let's do that. But the interesting thing was that students actually were able to produce interesting solutions. Yes, the truth is that most of the submissions, most of the solutions were not very good. 9 out of 10, I wouldn't be proud of them. Or they are wonderful, they are great as for students, but it's not necessarily something that the client would be willing to pay for. But occasionally, some of the solutions are so good that the company would look at them and say, like, my, I mean, this is great. I mean, this is better than what the consultants could do. And so, remarkably, students, some will produce average solutions. It's a big step forward for them as for students, but again, maybe it's not a revolutionary decision. But some of them are really, really good. And so soon enough, we changed towards the model where we actually have real life challenges presented by real life companies, and the students would work on them, which gives an added benefit of learning about a real industry, a real company. And then last year we also added webinars with CEOs of the companies. So not only do you see the description of the company and know about the problem, you can actually talk live to the company owner or manager, ask questions, get feedback. So here it's basically a real consulting project. In fact, many companies now offer all kinds of benefits to the students. Like, for example, there would be usually an aftermarket commission. So if the challenge is, let's say, to expand, to develop a strategy for expanding beyond their home market, if you develop the strategy and then show the company that it works by, for example, finding a retailer or a customer for the product in the new market, and thereby proving that there is a demand and it can be sold there. If you bring the contract to the company, in most cases you will actually get an aftermarket commission, so you will actually get some real money for facilitating the transaction. Some companies also offer prizes, like for example, the best submission for that particular company may be rewarded with an additional cash prize from the company. And so if you do that, you can not only gain experience, but you can actually earn real money, as well as meet the managers of the real companies. And we've even had cases when the students who worked on the challenge for a real company were later offered either an internship or even in some cases jobs. So you basically can take it as your, at the very least as your kind of internship, but one that can lead to a real job offer. So we would take those students, we would put them in global virtual teams. Everybody who participates in X-Culture must first take the Readiness Test. And the reason for that is you don't want to have people on your team who are not prepared. And by prepared, I mean, on the one hand, have the necessary skills, language skills, technical skills. On the other hand, are committed enough to work with you, right? You don't want someone who may be smart but doesn't want to participate. So the test is designed to test the skills on the one hand, but then the commitment on the other hand. So the test is lengthy. Not everyone has the dedication to take it fully, and so if they don't, they will not be placed on teams. So you take the test, we put them on teams, and then basically from there on, it's very easy. So you go to the X-Culture website, and you first go to the X-Culture training page. And on the training page, you will see the X-Culture training module, as we call it. So it's a document that describes all the ins and outs of the project itself, as well as provide some advice on online collaboration, the people side as well as the technical side. Then you have the challenges, and the challenges are basically descriptions of the challenges or problems presented by the real companies. We try to select about 5 companies every semester, and so this semester these are the companies. So we have Forcier, InnoSpark, Polaris, Willowy, Social Learning Solutions. We even give you an option to bring your own company. So if you don't like any of the clients here, but you know a company that has a real life interest in International Business Challenge, you can talk to the company, and as long as they're interested, we are fine with you or your team working on that particular challenge. Then it's really easy. You just open the challenge, the one that you like, or read them all and then select the one that you like. And all you really have to do is just follow the schedule. So the document provides, I opened the wrong file. The document provides you first a description of the company and the description of the challenge. Usually it's the first 2-3 pages. And then you have a schedule. So there is a weekly deadline. So every week on Sunday you have to submit basically the results of your week's labor. So there is a question every week. Like for example, first you have to select the company and analyze it. Then you have to think about, for example, what kind of market would be a suitable promising market for this kind of product. Then you have to select the market. Then you have to design a strategy for marketing, for example, then a staffing strategy. Some companies may ask for ideas for how to fund the growth of their business. Some companies, like for example 4CR, actually have very specific questions, like for example, identify potential competitors, identify potential clients, help us find employees for the company, what would be the best way to recruit people in that country, things like that. And so you just follow the schedule. So if this week you have to submit a marketing strategy, that's what you work on. And then at the end of the week, you will submit a little survey where you will provide the key elements of your proposal. In the weekly surveys, you don't have to submit the full written report section, just the main interesting points. And then there will be also a few questions in the survey about your peers, like peer evaluations. Plus, we are always trying to use Xculture to better understand how global virtual teams work, why some people or some teams perform better than others. So occasionally we also throw in a few questions that measure your, for example, cultural intelligence or personality, things that we believe may be relevant or may explain why some people perform better than others. So we can use this knowledge to improve the project, to train you, to explain to you what works and what doesn't. So usually around Wednesday or Tuesday, you will receive an email with a link to that weekly survey. You will have basically the whole week to complete the task, and then towards the end of the week, you just submit your team's decision, you evaluate your peers, you answer a few questions, and move on to the next week. Then 1 week before the end of the project, you will be allowed to submit the draft of your full proposal. It will not be evaluated for quality per se, but it will give you, that draft submission will give you one important advantage. All the reports are submitted via Turnitin. Turnitin automatically checks your work for plagiarism. And so when you submit the draft, it will be scanned for plagiarism. And if it happens to be the case that somebody on your team was not very honest, for example, and instead of writing his own or her own work, copied work of somebody else, Turnitin will catch it. And so your team will have then about a week to fix that problem. In fact, you can submit your draft to Turnitin at any time. You have only one shot, so don't rush it. Make sure that you have everything. But you can submit it as early as you want, and once you submit, you will see if there is any problem in the report with plagiarism. And if there is, you will have enough time to fix it. And then at the end of the project, you submit the final report. It goes to Turnitin. We check it for plagiarism. That information, by the way, automatically goes to your professor, so don't think that you can hide it. And then each report will be evaluated. It will be evaluated independently by usually about 5 to 7 people, usually by different instructors. But then also on top of that, we hire professional trained business experts who do the evaluations, and we compile those evaluations. We first send them to the instructors so that they can see what the independent experts think about the work of their students, but also we use those numbers to select the winners. And then the members of the best teams, the teams that produce the best results, will be invited to the Xculture Symposium, and we try to hold it every year, but now we're trying to move to a more frequent schedule. So usually it's in the United States, but now we're exploring the opportunities or possibilities of holding the Xculture Symposium in on other continents. Not everyone can travel to the United States, so we're trying to have one maybe in Asia, one in Europe, maybe one in Latin America, maybe in Africa. So hopefully starting this year, next year, we'll have those additional symposia. The symposia in the past have been held, like for example, in Miami, hosted by Louis Vuitton, in Atlanta, hosted by the Home Depot. Last year in Savannah, hosted by JCB, that's the company that makes tractors and excavators. In 2016, the symposium will be kind of in Florida. It will be aboard of a cruise ship. So we'll board it in Florida and then go to the Caribbean region, 2 days on the cruise ship, 1 day on the island 2 days back on the cruise ship for the conference. So usually we'll limit the participants number to about 100 or 70 or so. But yes, if you do well, you will be invited to one of those events. Really easy otherwise, just read the instructions, follow the instructions. You will experience a number of challenges. As I said, the biggest one is most teams, no matter how good or bad they are, usually tend to have at least one student who is not very actively participating. It's usually at least one, no matter if the team is MBA or undergraduates, if the team is composed of students from elite universities versus average universities. It seems to be human nature. No matter what kind of group you have, there are always some people who will take the lead and work very hard, and once others see that there is somebody doing the job, there will be always somebody who will say, oh, maybe I shouldn't work at all. If that person was on a different team where nobody else worked, that person could have taken the lead himself or herself. But that just happens, and you'll have those kinds of challenges. Sometimes you may have problems with cross-cultural conflicts. Sometimes you may have problems with even sometimes bullying or harassment. Very rare. I mean, with thousands of students, we may be having, I don't know, one or two of those cases every semester. So it's very, rare occasion. But if it happens, it may happen in your team, don't panic. Talk to your instructor, send an email to the X-Culture admin. We will work on that. We have actually people dedicated to resolving those kinds of conflicts. So an experienced expert will actually work with you, provide coaching, provide advice, counseling, so you will not be alone. So anything goes wrong, just let us know, and we'll help you. As I said, there will be times when you will regret that you got involved with X-Culture. It is demanding, but somehow in the end, when the project is over, students overwhelmingly say that they liked it. A huge portion, over 90%, are extremely happy with X-Culture. Most of the remaining 10% are just happy. We may have one or two people who, it just didn't work for them, but literally, close to 100% of the participants, at least 95%, are very happy with the project. And while during the project, they sometimes may not have the best time when they have to meet the deadline and somebody's not doing his or her job on the team. Those may be situations where it's not as smooth as you expected it to be. In the end, when you reflect back on it, you will probably think that, it was worth it. Yes, it was hard, it was difficult, but it was worth it. It was educational. You now know better. So not only do you have the certificate, not only do you have friends all around the world now, you actually now know better. So when the time comes for you to do it for real as part of your job, you will know better. Anyway, thank you so much again for your interest in X-Culture. As I said, you will hopefully enjoy the project, and if anything goes wrong, just let us know. We'll work on it together. Thank you so much, and yes, I'll see you soon. I will be the one who will be bothering you with all those emails, reminders about the surveys, and hopefully good advice from time to time. All right, bye-bye.